Hello, so today we are going to start Introduction to Organizational Behavior Part 3. This will be the last part in which we will be discussing about Hawthorne experiment, its conclusion, its phases, and as well as we will be talking about the framework of organizational behavior and the model of organizational behavior. So let's start. Hawthorne experiment is known as Hawthorne experiment because it was conducted in Hawthorne plant, which is located in Chicago, and this experiment was conducted by Elton Mayo, and they have done several research, and it is known that this experiment lead to development of human relationship theories, and it has said that organizational productivity depends on the satisfaction of employee. So there is 4 phases of this experiment: illumination, relay assembly, test room experiment, mass interviewing program, bank wiring, observation room experiment. We will be talking about it one by one. So first is illumination experiment. So illumination experiment was performed to know that varying levels of illumination, that is the amount of light at the workplace, which is a physical factor, how it affects the productivity. So the experiment was conducted in 1924 to 1927, that is total 3 years. The hypothesis of the experiment was that the higher illumination means the productivity will increase. So it was, the hypothesis means, in the beginning they thought that, they assumed that, let's check is it true or not, that if the lightning is better, so will the workers productivity will increase. So what they did is that they took 2 groups, one was experimental group and another was controlled group. So the experimental group was exposed to varying intensity of illumination, like their lightning condition will be changing, and another was like controlled group, and they were allowed to work under a constant intensity of illumination. So in one room there will be a constant light from day 1 to the third, up to the end of the third year, and first one was like their lightning condition will be changing. So when the research increased the illumination in the experiment, both the group increase the production, and when the intensity of illumination decreased, the production continued to increase in both the group. So which means this hypothesis was wrong. It is and the conclusion was that there is no impact of light on productivity. And then there is next one is relay assembly test room experiment. So this experiment was done from 1927 to 1928 to find out that the effect of change in number of work hours and related working condition on the productivity of the worker. For this experiment, 2 small group of 6 female telephone relay assemblies were selected. Each group was kept in different room. From time to time, changes are made in working conditions such as working hour is deferred, or rest period and lunch break are changed. They were allowed to choose their own rest period and give suggestion. Productivity increased in both the control room, and it was concluded that social relationship among worker, participation in decision making, etc., has greater effect on productivity than working conditions. So in last we have seen that the light has no impact, and here we saw that if there is some correlation between and cooperation, and if the employee are allowed to take participation in the decision making, so the productivity increases. Next is mass interviewing program. So this interview was taken in the year 1928 to 1930. In this, 21,000 employees were interviewed to find out the reason behind their increased productivity, and it was concluded that if the workers are allowed to talk freely about the matter that are important to them, then their productivity will be improving, because they are able to show their what is the issue they are having, and these things will be taken in focus, and then the solution will be provided. So this improves the working conditions, this improves the productivity of the organization. Next is bank wiring observation room experiment. It was from 1931 to 1932. It was a 6-month observation in which a group of 14 male workers in a bank wiring room were placed under observation for 6 months. The pay of the worker was fixed on the performance of the group as a whole. Like if a group has a high performance, then the salary will be paid high, otherwise low. It doesn't depend on the individual, how the individual is acting. So the research assumed that efficient worker in the group will put pressure on the less efficient worker to complete the work. However, it was found that the group established its own standard output, which was lower than the standard set by the company. So the observer was thinking that the efficient worker will be forcing the low efficient worker to work more, so the total group will improve. But instead of that, what had happened, the highly efficient worker reduces their work in order to protect the poor performer of the group. They feared that the company will punish the poor performer and raise the targets in a situation of improved performance. So the experiment exposed that there is existence of informal relationship among the employees that influences performance behavior or the behavior of the group. So let's comes to conclusion. The conclusions are: the social and psychological factor influences the productivity and job satisfaction of a worker in an organization. Informal relationship among worker influences their behavior and performance. Employee perform better if they are allowed in decision making. Employee work efficiently when they believe that management is interested in their welfare. Productivity of an organization can be improved by treating the employee with respect and dignity. Next, we can come to framework of organizational behavior. So, the framework of organizational behavior are behavioristic framework, cognitive framework, and social learning framework. Behavioristic framework means it focuses on the observable behavior. Ivan Pavlov and John B. Watson were the advocate of behavioristic theory. They explained human behavior on the basis of the connection between the stimulus and the response. So according to this framework, stimulus is like the external object, person, or the situation that a person sense and perceive, and response is the behavior of the person that occurs in order to react the object or the person or the situation. So stimulus, like take example, you're a student and exam is coming, so obviously your behavior will be like, let's study now at least so that we can get a passing mark. So this is the behavioristic framework in which the relationship between or the connectionship between the stimulus, which is the external factor, exam, and the response, that is increased study, is studied or is observed. Next is cognitive framework. Cognition can be simply defined as the act of knowing and learning. In cognitive framework, cognition occurs before behavior and contribute to the person's thinking, perception, problem solving, and information processing. So cognitive means it is related to the knowledge, it is related to the brain thinking before it's behave. So this is one other kind of framework which think about how a person is, what a person is thinking, what is a person's perception, how he is solving a particular problem, what are the information he is processing in his mind. And the last one is social learning framework. The social learning framework incorporates the concept that concept and principle of both the cognitive and behavioristic framework. In this framework, behavior is explained as a continuous mutual interaction between cognitive behavior and environmental factors. So in this like the social learning factors, it is like first you're thinking something, you did something, and you did like when we are child, so if there is fire, so a children will be attracted to the bright light of the fire, so he will be like, I should touch, I should touch. That is his cognitive thinking, was that that shiny thing is attractive, I should touch. But once he know that there is a stimulus, that it is hot, and he just took back his hand, so he is aware now, and he has learned a thing that every bright thing is not a shining star or a glitter, so it may be fire also. So this is called social learning framework. Lastly, we are going to discuss about the model of organizational behavior. There is 4 model: autocratic model, custodial model, supportive model, and collegial model. So autocratic model means the model is more of authority oriented in approach, and it is based on the phenomena that a person who is in command for the power to demand organization with this autocratic environment. So this organizational behavior, this model is like, what are the types of organization present? First is autocratic, where there is autocrats, like the person, the superior, or the manager is like, they feel I have the supremacy, I have the power, and every employer lazy and they are trying to avoid work. So in this condition, the employees are fear and frustrated because of constant supervision and the strict action of the employers. Hence they, like, the employer only works when they are feeling like they may lose the job, they will be fired if they are not working. Next is custodial model. So in this model, a person is awarded for completing the it is not like autocratic model, like which was like punishing and you may get fired. It is more like the person is motivated by the financial or monetary or psychological award, or the psychological need, and physiological awards and all. So these are this is a positive vibe, and it has a positive motivation. Next is supportive model. In this, the leadership oriented model, and this is a leadership oriented model, and focus of supportive leadership style to motivate and improve the performance of employee at work rather than using power or giving monetary reward. It focus on providing friendly and supportive organizational climate. So for example, we can take a teacher. A teacher is like very friendly to you, so he is not giving you any monetary reward, and he is not also making a strict rule on you that if you are not going to do this, I will call your parents, or I will make you fail, I will give you less internal. It is not like that. So I'm just taking it as an example. So yeah, supportive model is like they will be like, ask me if any question is there, any query is there. So this is called supportive model. Like that, in workplace there will be the manager who will be helping the freshers or the worker who have some issues, rather than punishing them, or rather than giving them award. They will be like, yeah, good job, you can do it. They will be motivating and they will be supporting. Last one is collegial model, which means a group of person have common purpose. This model is based on the concept of treating employees as the partner and important member of the organization, so that they can relate themselves more closer towards the organization and work hard for achieving its goal. This model focuses on the team spirit and the good human relationship. So collegial model means they will treat the worker, the employee as colleague, and also they will help, they will give them opportunity to make decisions, and this will make the colleague, that worker, feel that yeah, we are more towards the, more closer to the organization. The dream of this organization is also the my motive, it's also my aim. So these were the collegial, these were the models of organizational behavior. And by this we are finishing the first chapter of organizational behavior of this book. And thank you so much.